Hi, welcome to an episode of Expat Experts, where we bring in experts to discuss their niche or their field they're in. And today I had to invite Tim Searle, given that he's got 30 years of experience. He's especially in Dubai in the UAE, and he is a tax advisor, special...
Whatever.
Yeah, he's just great. So I think he'd be really helpful for our listeners to discuss kind of expat issues people have got, kind of what he does day to day. He did have Global Eye, which he sold last year, which was massive here, and we worked with Global Eye over the years. So Tim, just tell us a bit more about yourself and what you're doing at the moment.
Okay.
Because I know you've gone really into tax work a bit more with a bit more of a niche market now, haven't you?
Yeah, very much so. And as you say, I've been here nearly 30 years, came here in 1994, 5, I think it was. So yes, nearly 30 years, okay? Yeah. And of course, over that time, things have changed dramatically. And people always say, well, Tim, you've seen it all. It's all done, finished. Whereas I say, no. The next 10 years, I think, are going to dwarf the previous 10 years, not only here in the UAE, but the region overall, particularly Saudi Arabia, right? Whereas Saudi, I think, from a statistic perspective, represents something like 75% of the GDP for the GCC.
A lot of people are moving there as well.
There's a huge amount happening in Saudi, right? And of course, there's a budget to take care of it. Anyway, so I've been very fortunate to be in the UAE all this time. I've had a partner, one of the Maktoum family, etc. And as you rightly say, built Global Eye until last year. We sold it, and we sold it to a UK PLC listed on the FTSE, and they now have the keys. And so they've now allowed me to go and do what I really had a passion for, which was advising high net worth families.
Okay.
And typically I do it around tax because people think, well, you're in the UAE or this part of the world, there are no taxes. Well, there are. And of course, modern wealth is very complex. People have assets in all sorts of places. And by dint of that, there are certain tax liabilities that one needs to be cognizant about. Okay. And the more I advise families further up the financial food chain, the less and less expertise I see. Okay. So I'm thinking, there is a massive opportunity here to work with. Absolutely right. So that's very much my thing now. So the high net worth tax advisory is really much the, I suppose, is my focus and my passion at the moment.
Yeah. So it's very interesting that you mentioned, families and individuals might be looking to move over to the UAE with essentially an incorrect view of the tax position, let's say, thinking that there is no tax and there is nothing that may sort of need to be dealt with in that respect. Would you be able to, for the listeners, perhaps just give an overview of actually the reality and the tax and financial considerations that individuals should have perhaps before they move here, so that they are a little bit more aware?
Definitely. You have to plan, right? I mean, if you're coming to the UAE because you're running away from the tax man in the UK, don't. Right?
That's very
because
important.
They're here as well. There's 6 HMRC guys
Breaking
based
news.
here in the UAE, okay? And they know everything about everything. Okay. And countries, of course, they're very, very cooperative with each other when it comes to tax information and sharing of tax information. Okay. So the French have people here, the Americans have got lots of people here, etc. Okay. All just building up the picture on tax. Obviously today is a bit of a landmark day because Rishi has gone out and said, right, we're going to have an election.
Yes.
And within that, there's all sorts of issues with regards to tax and how tax is going to affect non-domiciles and even domiciles or people from the UK who think, I can leave the UK, stay away for 10 years, and I won't have to pay inheritance tax. Now, I hate to say it, but most British people don't understand inheritance tax. So what chance does international people got? So that means there's lots and lots of work for people like me and you, etc., to help advise these people. And I think I saw another article recently again where people from the UK come to Dubai, love it naturally for all the right reasons, set up a portfolio of real estate, maybe generating income on that real estate, possibly not, reporting it back to the UK.
Yeah,
and that's not a good idea.
They find out, don't they?
And also the fact is that if you are from the UK, a UK domicile, and it's important to understand the difference between domicile and residency.
Yes. So when they're relocating or they want to move there, where do you advise them? So you're saying to them, hang on, you can't escape tax. and you're coming over to Dubai, for example, you're going to
Yes.
invest here, you're going to do this,
Yep.
you're going to set this, or you're bringing your family over. So where, Tim, does your role come in in advice?
So some advice at the beginning is really useful, because you might say, right, you're going to come to Dubai, you're going to buy a property, bring the wife, kids, etc. So technically you're going to become non-resident of the UK. You're going to become a resident of the UAE. And the income tax level here is zero.
Yes.
It's not there's no income tax. There is, but it's just zero at the moment, okay?
Sure.
But you might leave assets back in the UK. Now, if those are income producing assets, you can't expatriate that income. It stays
Still
in the
applicable.
UK. So if you still have flats, investments, and so on and so forth, and they're yielding, return for you, then you still have to pay income tax on that, because you can't expatriate it, right? Even though you come here and you're non-resident, but you're from the UK,
Yes.
so you're UK domicile. So in the event of your demise, you'll be paying 40% tax on your worldwide estate.
Still.
Nobody wants to believe this, including Dubai assets and anything you've got anywhere else in the world, 40%, as the rules stand at the moment.
Sure.
Now, I know I'm not delivering any good news here,
No,
right?
but it's important.
But I'm telling you what is the
reality.
story.
Yes.
Correct.
Yep.
Now, maybe some listeners are thinking, yeah, but I'm going to put a little bit there, a bit over there.
Yeah.
Don't try and go off piece when it comes to tax planning, because it's very difficult to get back on the slopes again. And of course, with the exchange control, moving money around. I mean, of course, the UAE until recently was on the grey list. There is a view that, are you coming here to try and do things with your money that you shouldn't be doing?
Yes.
Now, fortuitously, the UAE are now off the grey list, and they're very keen to protect that.
No,
that,
they are.
You know,
Even with our setup, with money laundering and everything, they're
all
very
of that.
strict. Yeah.
all of
Indeed.
that. So they want to make sure that if anyone's coming out here for those kind of shenanigans, then it's not going to be supported, you know?
So how do you help expat clients create like a financial plan, for example, that aligns with their long-term goals with the circumstances here in the UAE? Is that what you're doing? Are you looking at what they've got, looking at the portfolio, and advising them on things back home and obviously things here and how it works? Are you making financial plans for them?
I think, what's important is that they'll have a financial planner, I hope, in the UK. Engage them as soon as you can to say, thinking about leaving, give me some ideas, or what I should be considering with regards to what I've got going on in the UK to allow that, or to facilitate the smoothest process as possible, okay? You then should also talk to an advisor in the international space, because there's different things we do offshore compared to what we do onshore. And you need to have a blend between the two. The other thing is you want to make sure you're speaking to an organization that can deal with all facets of financial planning. And I typically see in this part of the world, again, everything is product driven, not advisory driven. And I'm very much the latter, advisory driven. And I tend to look at this, if you like, pyramid of financial planning. And we start at the bottom and we talk about things. Have you got a will? Have you got a lasting power of attorney? Have you got your life insurance, your critical illness cover, your medical cover? Is your home insured? Is your car insured? It's all the boring stuff. I would say another word normally, but we're on microphones. But it's got to be done.
And this is what Global Eye essentially
Correct.
did.
And then we then come up the pyramid and say, right, now you've got some money still. Have you thought about saving towards little Johnny's education fees or your retirement one day or whatever it might be, creating a little nest egg? Still got some more money? Right, we can invest a lump sum now. And then we go to mutual funds and so on and so forth. And then eventually you'll go to private equity, venture capital and so on and so forth. In that order. That's how a plan should look like. But unfortunately, people tend to go, oh, do you want some venture capital? And there's no strategy that's brought in. So I help develop that for people.
Okay. In terms of strategies then, are there any that you can briefly sort of explain in terms of optimizing savings or general funds that expats may have in the UAE?
I think it's people tend to get something and go, tick, done, stick it in the sock drawer, don't need to look at that again. Completely the wrong thing to do. Bearing in mind, I've been here a long time. The products I sold 30 years ago are not really relevant now. Compared to what you can get internationally. And of course, we have a much more international flavor. If you choose to buy a bicycle from Mexico, you can, right? No one's stopping you. So the same thing is for your financial planning. I don't have to get something that's being delivered to me here. I might be able to get it from somewhere else. And if you don't understand what the product is or the charging structures or there may be some complexity in access and all that kind of stuff, you need to make sure you've got someone who doesn't have a conflict of interest to say, this is how it works. books. So get your old stuff out and go, is this still relevant?
Sure.
Is it still yielding the best for me? My circumstances change, all the time, or I got more children, or I got less children, or I've now got another wife, or whatever it might be, etc. I want to live here. I want to go that place now. So you need to review all the time. It's not like being done, finished.
Sure.
You need to review it on a regular basis.
Another question I had for you is, are there any other common misconceptions that expats have when they move here other than tax is not applicable to me? Is there anything else that you hear or that you think that's very wrong?
Yeah, I think the tax thing
That's the main one,
is the
right?
main one, because
Yeah.
I think, well, I'm here. There's no tax for
What
me.
about offshoring stuff? So when people offshore banking investment options, is that like something you would
So again, that
be saying no to?
right, again, in the old days, and
Yeah.
I remember those, of course, you would go offshore, make a load of money, stick it in your offshore bank account, go back to Manchester,
Yeah.
and like, I haven't got any money. And then drive around in a 911.
Yes,
And then
yeah.
HMRC go,
I don't think
come on.
Yeah.
But you keep your money in an offshore bank account. You could go to an ATM, pull cash out, no
Yes.
problem at all. However, the EU Savings Directive came into place. So when you go back to the UK and you now become resident and you fill in, well, it used to be a P85 when you came offshore. Now it's a P86 when you go back onshore. I don't think you have to do it now. You just make your report to HMRC. But your bank will then say, right, we know you're back in the UK. Are you declaring this bank account to HMRC? Because if you don't, we will. Or if we don't, we'll still take withholding tax off you at source.
So with your experience, generally as the years of experience you've got now specialising in this tax advisory, what would you be able to give our listeners today, Tim, whether it's like pearls of wisdom or just as an expert in your field, some advice when they're coming here or they're living here as well, these families, these individuals that are here, what would you say to them?
Don't take your advice from TikTok, Snapchat.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's so true. There are
There's
people
on there
saying that they are
advising about HMRC and
advisors.
things.
That's
Yes.
very,
I'm like,
very
is that
true.
true?
That's dangerous.
Exactly. So
Okay.
don't do it.
Yeah.
It's almost like, no, I'll get it off TikTok, not from a guy who's been doing it for 30 years.
So true.
Right? And if the advice is free,
Also a red flag.
yeah, it's another red flag.
Yes,
You know,
yeah,
if you
yeah.
went to your dentist and you drilled your teeth and there was no charge, it's like,
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
so get the advice. If the intention is to go offshore, whether it's Dubai or anywhere else in the world, get some advice, both locally, and then try to get, hopefully that local person's got some connections internationally, or through you guys, for example.
Yeah,
We've all got our networks. And that's what people do when they come to
what
me,
we do, yeah.
is you get my ecosystem, okay? And I'd be able to point you in the direction of people that can help you out with this kind of
there's
stuff.
always someone that will be able to help you with
Correct.
something
And,
else.
get more than one opinion.
Perfect.
Go and speak to various people. Yes, you can do stuff on the internet, but
Yeah.
make sure the source is half decent,
Sure,
not
sure.
TikTok, Snapchat, whatever it
Yes,
might be,
yeah.
etc. So it's about getting that advice and get it as soon as you possibly can.
Yeah, no, definitely. Tim, and how can people contact you then? What's the best way now?
Snapchat.
Perfect.
Because there's no global eye anymore. So there's no global eye anymore.
You will find Tim Searle on LinkedIn, no problem at all,
Perfect.
right?
Okay. LinkedIn.
And I'm about to launch my new business, which I can't say at the moment because it's newly.
Top secret.
You'll get the scoop on it, etc. So I can't do that. So once it's all
fine.
finished, because I don't want anyone to say, "Oh, I went to his website, it wasn't working at the moment." So we'll just
No,
leave
of
that for the
course.
time being.
So
But
LinkedIn.
Tim Searle, LinkedIn,
exciting.
you'll
Perfect.
find me, everything that I do, etc.
Amazing.
We've obviously got your profile. So
Oh, yeah,
we'll
come to
share
you
that.
guys, yeah. So
We'll
we'll
share that
connect.
profile. And like I said, it's been great talking to you
Yes.
today.
Likewise.
Thank you so
And,
much.
we'd love to get you on once your business is up and launched as well, just to discuss it a little bit more.
Sure.
Yeah, it'd be
Because
great.
what this podcast is about is for expats to listen to experts in their field and benefit from them, and also take things back. And like I said, we'd love to expand a bit more once your new business is up and running as well. So we'd love to get you back on soon.
More than happy. And
Yeah.
I think, with the election going on at the moment, property is a big issue,
Yes,
and the
yes.
taxes around that.
Exactly.
And then I know you guys are in that divorce world. Happy
Indeed.
to help out on that
No,
side as well.
definitely, and we're
Perfect.
going to
Yeah.
definitely keep you in mind.
Yeah.
We get our clients that come to us. We do get some high net worth families,
Yep.
and people approaching us. It's good to kind of point them in the right direction.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
everybody wants to. It's better to come from someone they trust or they know than just googling and saying, "Oh, who do I call?"
Yeah.
And it's such a
Yeah.
dynamic thing now.
Yeah.
You can't go to one source.
Yes.
In modern wealth, there's so many facets to it, and you have to
Yeah.
get expertise from different
It's crazy
areas.
because one of my clients, I've known her for a long time, she said, I've spoken to a financial advisor in the UK. He's asking me 5,000 up front. It's a lot of money. And can you check his profile out? Can you tell me if I should talk to him?
Yeah.
Looked him up, tried to contact him, didn't want to talk to me, but added me on LinkedIn. And then I was like, okay, maybe we can give you some other options. Because he doesn't. I was like, why can't you just pick the phone up and call me?
He's too cheap. He's too cheap.
She was like,
Bargain.
I know. And she was like, but he deals with high net worth and I'm not sure who he is. So she was asking me to check him out. So I was like, okay, I'll do that for you. Don't mind.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Perfect. Well, it was great having you on.
Likewise,
Thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
your
And we'll share your details.
insight.
And we'll hopefully have you back soon.
Yeah. Thank you.
Super. That's
Perfect.
good.
Thanks
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.